Hebron Christian Church family. It's great to be with you again, even though I'm not exactly where you are. We get to spend time in this way. Hebron Church family online. And please forward these to friends, family, help them get some encouragement to this time, during this time as well. So we're toying with different ideas, different backgrounds, different lighting, different equipment, just trying to make these broadcasts as effective as possible. I encourage you, get online at 9 a.m. In your WhatsApp group and just say you're praying, and pray for these broadcasts, pray for their impact. We're touching many more people outside the congregation through these broadcasts than we would have preaching inside our four walls. So God is using us. He's using this season, and it's even more exciting than we thought. And I want to start this morning by saying this one thing to you. You are powerful, and you have incredible opportunities in this season. Don't miss them. And I loose just creative genius over you from the Lord. There is a solution for every challenge. As I was praying for this time, I saw somebody standing in a pool of water with a big burst pipe. I recently had a smaller one, but I saw this big burst pipe as I was praying, and this sense of anxiety and a sense of frustration, what to do. And I felt the Lord standing with you in that puddle of water to assist you, to help you. So whatever the challenge is, maybe because of this lockdown, or maybe because of some other challenge that you experienced before the lockdown, I just feel the Lord saying, you are not alone. He's with you to help you solve the problem. Trust Him. Let's get into the Word a little bit this morning. Colossians is where I'm going to focus. And if we start off Colossians, it says, Paul, chapter 1, verse 1, an apostle of Jesus Christ by the will of God. I just want to remind you, here is Paul. He's an apostle. He's called by God for this international ministry, this ministry to the nations. He's already been on mission trips. And at this point, he's in lockdown. He's in a Roman prison in Rome, waiting sentence, waiting an opportunity to speak to Caesar. He could have sat back and said, no, well, there goes my apostolic ministry. But no, he decided to be creative. He decided to use the available technology, which was writing letters at that time, and reach out. And one of the churches he reached out to were the believers in the little town of Colossae. So he is on the front foot. He is using the opportunity. He's not sitting back and giving up. He is leaning forward. And I want to say to you, you have got incredible capacity. Don't forget, you're not just body and soul, but you're also spirit. You're a spirit being. And as a spirit being, you have got faculties way beyond your physical and human capacities. So I want to remind you of a verse. It says in Colossians 2, verse 5, Paul is sitting in prison, and he says these words to the Colossians. He says, though I'm absent in the flesh, yet I am with you in spirit. Now he's revealing something amazing here. He's saying that there is a spiritual ability to be present, even though you're physically absent. And he goes on to say, rejoicing to see your good order. He's actually describing a spiritual capacity to perceive, even though he's absent physically. He says, I rejoice to see your good order. He could perceive that the Colossians, there was no WhatsApp in those days. They had to send letters, which took months to get there. He could see their good order and their steadfastness of faith from a distance. In spirit, he could perceive. God was revealing to him the state of being of the Colossians, and therefore he could write certain words to these precious believers. So just an example that you are alive in spirit. You have capacities in spirit that your physical body cannot do. You might have 5 senses in your physical body, but in the spirit, you have the ability to hear. You have the ability to see. You have the ability to taste. You have the ability to smell in the spirit. And what's the other one? You have the ability to touch in the spirit. I've heard beautiful stories of people experiencing the embrace of God. I think of Christo Fenter, who was in hospital last year, who experienced the Lord taking hold of his hand. The Lord wants to encounter you during this time. You have the ability to encounter Jesus. You have the ability to experience the sense of his presence, even the smell and fragrance of his presence. People are experiencing that. Let's have a look at what else Paul did. So the first thing that you find he does is that he is giving thanks and he's praying. And in verse 9 to 11, he says this to the Colossians. He says, I have not ceased to pray for you and to ask that you will be filled with the knowledge of his will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding. Here's a guy in prison. He's the one who's incapacitated, but he's praying for these Colossians who are out there. They're not in prison. He's praying for them. He encourages them to have a walk worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing him, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of God. But I love verse 11. It says, he prays for them to be strengthened with all might, according to his glorious power. And then he says, for all patience and long suffering with joy. I thought, one thing we need in this lockdown is patience and long suffering with joy, not just grinning and bearing it, but finding our joy because we're strengthened by the Lord. May that be your experience. You can receive that spiritual strength as you pray, as you wait on the Lord. I encourage you, find your patience, find your perseverance, find your long suffering through the strength of the Lord. The second thing was this giving of thanks. Verse 12 says, he went on to give thanks to the Father who has qualified us to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints. Giving thanks is part of worship, isn't it? Worship is one of the things you are not limited to do. Just because you're not attending a meeting on a Sunday doesn't mean you are prohibited from worship. You can worship the Lord anytime. The beautiful thing about if you're connected to the internet, you can download a worship song. Do you know that worship songs on YouTube are one of the highest watched files or videos available? There's a beautiful song. You can go and look it up, Yeshua. I think it's got something like 5.5 million views, which just is an indication of how people will go back and back and how many people are interested in an encounter with the presence of the Lord. And I want to encourage you, go and draw aside, go and set some time apart, have some worship, and focus on this beautiful Jesus, this beautiful Yeshua, who is with us in this season. We're not without him. Hallelujah. So during his lockdown, Paul in prison is taking times of just giving thanks to the Lord, just worshiping him, just thanking him. There's another time, of course, where Paul and Silas were in prison and they were singing hymns in the middle of the night and an earthquake happened and their chains were broken. I want to suggest that our worship in the middle of this, our thanks to the Lord, is an offering which could break the chains of the enemy. Hallelujah. So practice worship. He goes on in chapter 1 from verse 13 to verse 22, just describing the Son of God and all that he has done and all that he is. It's quite beautiful. He's the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. You could just take those verses and worship the Lord with them. Beautiful stuff. He's before all things. By him we're reconciled. Hallelujah. By him, whether things on earth or in heaven, he has brought peace through the blood of his cross. Go and worship the Lord with those verses. Another thing that we can do, let me just find my pages here, during lockdown is think about others. Do you realize this, Paul, sitting in prison, thinking about others, thinking about the Colossians, the Colossian believers, and writing this letter of encouragement to them? Can I suggest that as families in lockdown, especially if your house is small, you are in each other's space, you're on sharing the same space a lot. And that can put pressure on relationships. What's going to relieve that pressure? Stop thinking about yourself. Think about those around you. How can you be a blessing to them? How can you make this easier for them? How can you love them? What are they going through? What is it like for them? How can you make the day more bearable? What can you do to be a blessing? And I'm speaking to you younger folk. If you've got moms and dads who are the ones worrying about where the money's coming from, where the food's coming from, how trying to keep you all safe, think about that. How can you make it easier for them? So I bless you again with grace and patience for each other. How can you love others? At the beginning of this time, I felt the Lord say, this is an opportunity to love others. So how can you be a blessing? How can you be a blessing to your community? There are many needs out there at the moment. We are already helping people just get through the month, just find food, and even get some data to get some airtime just to hear these broadcasts and stay connected. How can you be a blessing? I want to say in closing, this is an incredible time in history for us internationally. Let's make it a memory of victory, a memory where we as a family together found a way to make it incredible, to make memories that normal circumstance might not give us the opportunity to make. This is the time. Do some art together, have some fun together, play some games together, tidy the house together, pray together, worship together, get into the Word of God together. And that's what I want to finish off with today, is the other thing you can do in this lockdown. As you think of each other, and you can go and read chapter 3, it's a lot about our relationships. But in the middle of it, he says, as elect of God, verse 12, holy and beloved, amongst other things, verse 14, put on above all things love, which is the bond of perfection. Let the peace of God rule in your heart, to which you've been called, and practice thankfulness. And verse 16 says, let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. I can't overemphasize our access to the scriptures. Beautiful opportunity for encouragement. Get into the word. Chew on the word. Feed your spirit and your soul, not just your body. Rise up in this time. Be strengthened in this time. As I said in the beginning, you're powerful. And this is an incredible opportunity for you to make beautiful choices. I just want to pray for you as we close. Father, I want to say thank you again for the opportunity and the privilege to get into everybody's homes through this broadcast. And I just bless their families. I bless their relationships, Lord. I bless their creativity. I want to pray over businesses that are being affected, cash flow that's being affected. Thank you that, Lord, we can pray. We can bring our challenges to you. Thank you that you're standing with us to face the challenge. And we can trust you for incredible, genius solutions. Maybe there's something we haven't even thought about before. I just loose your thoughts. Thank you that you have not brought us this far for us to fail. This is an opportunity for you to show us your thoughts. Thank you for genius from the throne, wisdom from the throne, peace, love, life, in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you as we close off this broadcast. Stay in contact. If you have needs at home and nobody knows about them, make sure somebody knows so that we can help and something can be done about it. Don't sit and suffer in silence. Talk to us. We love you. Bless you.